Hey, Thriving Launchers. Today we're going to be talking about delegation, automation, and letting other people do the things that you don't like to do so that you can be happier and more optimized in your work and business life. Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all. Do you have a product or service that you would like to sell online? Or maybe you've been thinking about it, but you're reserved to do it because you need a website, you need complicated systems, and you need to spend money? Well, I've created a completely free course that teaches you how to use Facebook in a purely organic way. This means no ads and no money are needed. You can use Facebook completely free. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com, opt into my Profit from Social Media course. I'm going to teach you the free methods to using Facebook to make money today.
We're here with Mike Michalowicz. He is an entrepreneur behind 3 multi-million-dollar companies and an author.
All right, we're here with Mike. Mike, welcome to the show. Are you ready to launch?
I am ready. Thank you both for having me.
Hey, so before the show, one of the things that you were telling us that you'd be really excited to talk about, and you felt like it was really an important topic for entrepreneurs and people who are in business, is learning how to streamline, create processes, and minimize their management of others, or kind of get out of that space where you're micromanaging and worrying about what your team is doing. And that's a hard process for a lot of people, especially if you build your business from the ground up. So what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way, or things that you could tell us today that might help us kind of take our hands off the reins, so to speak?
I was intrigued by Maslow's hierarchy of needs recently, and I think what we're going to talk about today applies to this. Maslow basically says in
the human life's endeavor is that we have certain hierarchies of needs, the base being the need for food and water, and as you move up the chain, there's a need to belong to a community, to be loved and to give love, and then the highest level is self-actualization. As I was looking at that, I said, wow, this is what kind of entrepreneurs go through, but in a different flavor. The base, I think, for every business owner is you need sales for your organization. For your organization to move forward, if you have no sales, you're stuck in the water. That's the oxygen, if you will, for a business. The next level up, I believe, is profitability. And to me, that's the nourishment, that you can make as much sales as in the world as you want, but if you're not profitable, that's not sustainable either. You need to be nourished. And quite frankly, some businesses are starving to death because they're not profitable. And what they do is they gasp for more air. They try to breathe in more sales, ignoring profit. But once a business has sales and profit aligned and addressed, the next level up is the freedom of time for the business owner to not be be encumbered by the business, but for the business to be a platform for them to experience life to its fullest, and the business to do what they want within their own business. And that's what we're talking about today, that we need to develop certain processes and systems to give us that freedom. And I now believe, I did a lot of research. I wrote a book called Clockwork. And as I was preparing for this over 6 years, I did research and I found that standard approaches like SOPs, checklists and stuff, while very often you argued it as the foundation for a business that runs on process, it's rarely effectively executed. So I sought out, and I think I found a simpler system for getting those results that we need that don't require cumbersome documentation.
I'd love to hear what that is, what you've discovered that really helps streamline things.
Yeah, so I'll give you two things. One, and I'll jump ahead a little bit. First is capturing the process. When I was interviewing entrepreneurs, I said, how many systems do you have for your business right now? And someone would say, well, half of the business is systematized, or nothing is systematized, or maybe I got 70 or 80% of it nailed down. The reality is we have all of it nailed down. It's just sitting in our heads. As business owners, if you do everything, everything's in your head. You know the processes, they're just in your head. So getting to someone else to do it is difficult because they can't read your mind. And if you have employees, they have it in their heads. So the goal is not to create systems, and that's what I think the fallacy was. The goal is to capture systems. And what it is simply capture the activities you're doing. And there's ways to do it through video recording, right? Like what we're doing now, You're doing a podcast. If I want to teach someone else how to produce a podcast, I could just get a screen recorder like Loom or Screencast or something and have people record what I'm doing and then give it to the next person to emulate it so I can capture that way. I noticed that in a lot of businesses, direction is transferred by statement. Like, we have a meeting and I say, do step 1, 2, 3. Well, just bring your phone and record what you're doing. And now you have a recording of those actions. Or sometimes it's actual physical movement, moving boxes or packaging stuff or whatever. Take that same phone and videotape it. And this is now your instruction set. Then store it on a network directory structure that's easy to find what you're looking for. If it's accounting, I would click on admin and go into the accounting directory, and there's the accounting videos like how to process payroll or how to do collections or something, and it's a recording. So the goal is capture what you have, and there's many tools out there that we can use. The other thing, kind of taking a step back now, is I found that most businesses are trying to systematize everything at once. Like, oh, we need to fix this, we need to improve that, we need to organize this. And they're kind of playing a game of whack-a-mole. They're whack-a-mole where they're jumping around trying to fix everything. Well, as I was doing my research for Clockwork, I found that the organizations that scale the quickest use a traditional formula that I now call the QBR, stands for Queen Bee Rule. And why I say it's traditional is it came from an organization that existed even before modern business. And what it is beehives. I found that beehives are extremely well organized, very efficient use of their quote unquote manpower, can scale very quickly. And how do they do it? Every bee in a beehive knows that the queen bee of the beehive is serving the most critical role, which is laying eggs. They need eggs to survive. A bee will, on average, live 6, maybe 8 weeks. So they need a constant egg production. Now, I'm not saying the queen bee is the most important bee. That bee is simply serving the most important role, which is laying eggs. If the queen bee fails to produce, they'll actually remove her and then spawn a new bee. But every bee in the hive knows, regardless of what their primary job is, collecting pollen or nectar or whatever, they all know the first job that they have is to make sure that egg production is happening. They protect that QBR. Then they go out and do what their primary job function is. I found that every business that is efficient has identified that one thing the business is hinging its success on, the QBR. Every employee knows, make sure that's humming along, and only once we're assured that's humming along, go do your other job. If it's not, help make it hum along again. And just to make this practical in business, for example, if you go to a doctor's office, maybe the doctor's known for the reputation of extraordinary service. The QBR is the activity that supports that perception, that brand promise of extraordinary service. Is it thorough exams? Is it time spent with the patient really diagnosing what's going on? Well, if that's what it is, the QBR is time with the patient, doctor's time with the patient. If anyone in that staff sees that the doctor is pulling files or processing insurance claims or doing anything that's not about giving extraordinary customer service and spending time with customers, the QBR is failing, and every employee needs to block and tackle for the doctor so she can get back to being with the patients. So that's the other part of this process. Once you capture your systems, identify what the QBR is and make sure everyone knows that's the thing that elevates the entire business and needs to be protected and served.
That makes a lot of sense, and I really like that. One of the things that I can hear some entrepreneurs saying or asking is, well, I know the things that are most important that I should be doing. I know the most important things in the business that should be happening. And it's most likely if you're listening to this, you're kind of that person in your business that probably holds that space of being the queen, so to speak. And the challenge that I find with most people who hold that space, they're also really good at doing other things to assure that their main thing is protected.
Yeah.
And so it can be really hard to let go. And so most people tend to ask, well, when do I know it's a good time to let go? How do I let go? How do I know things are going to be okay? And those are really hard questions to teach people or to answer and give people that comfort necessary so they can start letting go.
We made a visual around this because that exactly was the challenge we were getting as myself and my team was researching this out. And what we found is there's a really simple graphic you can implement to give you the visual impact of what's going on. Basically, here's how you do it in short. Document what you do any given week. I'm not saying every single week you need to document this, but just look at a prototypical week, maybe in your calendar, or maybe track as you go along for the next 5 days, but see what you do and document how much time you spend on each thing. Checking email, preparing shipments, doing sales calls, delivering the service. Then once you identified it, then identify what is, of all those things, the most critical thing. And the funny thing is people may say, well, I do invoicing for my small business, and I also deliver the service. And quite frankly, the service is what I'm known for, but if I don't invoice, I'll never make money. So actually, that's the QBR. I need to invoice or I'll never collect. And my argument is, well, do you want to be known for your invoicing? Chances are you don't. You want to be known for the extraordinary service you provide. And then my question is, if you didn't do invoicing, could you provide such extraordinary service that customers actually want to pay you in advance? They don't even care about the invoice. Like, this is so remarkable. It's life-changing. And the answer is yes, by the way. Kickstarter proves every single day these remarkable innovations come about and people pay before the product's even made. So it's doable. So you have to pick, what do you intend to be known for? That's QBR. With all the other stuff you've identified, we're going to put these little arms, if you will, pulling us away from the QBR. Here's how you do it in execution. On a piece of paper, an 8.5 by 11 big piece of paper, in the dead center, put the QBR and circle it. Extraordinary service, and however you define it. Then draw a line representative of the time you spend on other tasks during any given week. So maybe you spend 2 hours a week doing shipments because you make a product. Well, then you draw a line that represents 2 hours. Maybe you spend 10 hours a week doing email. Well, that length is 5 times as long as the 2 hours, so draw a line that's now 5 times longer, and then have email, the word at the end. And what you'll see is you develop a hub and spoke design, but it's a very unbalanced hub and spoke. There's things that are pulling you far away. The elements that pull you the furthest away from doing the most critical role are the ones that most critically must be transferred to someone else. What takes you furthest away from the one thing your business needs to be doing? Those are the things you first need to delegate. Now, I realize some of them may be very technical and hard, so then we may have to get a little bit closer to the QBR, things that don't distract you as much but are easier to transfer. But identify the things that take you the furthest away from the most important thing, the QBR, and the easiest to transfer, and start there. Every business owner, I don't care if you're a one-person operation or 100 or somewhere in between, every business, the critical players, the owners, the C-suite, those people are inevitably doing way too much distractive work, and we can start transferring it out immediately. You can use a virtual assistant if you're small. You can hire another employee if you're big. But there's always a way to start delegating this work out. And the time it frees up goes back to being devoted to the QBR, that most critical thing. And that, again, will elevate your entire business.
Before we sign off, what is the number one tip that you would give the thriving launchers to go out and do today?
Yeah, so this is the most radical tip. Therefore, I guess it can be argued it's the number one tip. It's radical because I found the ultimate test. Take a 4-week vacation and from your business. And I know as I say that, people are like, this guy is insane. Like, are you kidding me? Here's the deal. Most entrepreneurs, and I studied 75 cases very deeply, but hundreds, and I spoke with thousands of entrepreneurs now over the years about how they leverage their time. Most entrepreneurs take very little vacation, or they take what's called a workcation, which is not a vacation. Others will do a 1-week vacation, but they're not free of their business at this point. A 1-week vacation, most people will work as hard as they can leading up to it, and then hopefully they'll bridge them for when they return and they can catch up with work again. But when you commit to a 4-week vacation, and I'm not saying take it tomorrow, I'm saying schedule it, a year or a year and a half from now. But schedule that 4-week vacation, your perspective on your business changes. You need to design your business to run itself. In 4 weeks, your business will experience every element of a business, from hiring people to firing people to invoicing to collecting to getting new prospects to getting rid of customers. It'll experience everything. And your business needs to navigate on its own. If you can remove yourself from your business for 4 weeks, your business can run itself, and now you can do what you want both in your life and within your business. So again, commit to a 4-week vacation. Pick a year to maybe even 2 years out. Now start working to make that a reality. That is the game changer in your business and making it run itself.
All right, Thriving Launchers, we've been here talking about how to let go of the reins in your business so that you can, I guess, take hold of the reins in a different way, or be the queen of your business and really automate, delegate, and have increased freedom and relaxation while you operate and run your business. If you want to learn more, we'll see you on the website. We'll have some notes, some cheat sheets, a link back to Mike's website, and we'll see you on the next episode, Thriving Launchers.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.